said Every Life Counts is a group of mothers. We work mainly on social media and we're in touch with phone numbers and stuff. Today is my first day actually physically meeting Tracy, even though she would my daughter Leiden would have been born 3.5 years ago. So we run a great network where it's so easy to just pick up the phone and text for that support. So my talk now is going to be different. My talk is specifically my story and how we went through it and how we dealt with it and the support that we got and the negative reactions that we also got. So in 2014 I found out I was pregnant. It wasn't a planned pregnancy. But I was 37 and I thought, I can do this. I had a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. And then after a couple of days when it sank in, I was like, yeah, this is great. I can do this. So I had my 12-week scan and everything was well. There was a few things that was coming up I wasn't feeling like I had in my other pregnancies, just with pain and that kind of thing. But I just thought I was, technically, hospital terms, I was a geriatric mother. I was appalled, but that's the term they use for me. So I just put it down to that. I thought, it's okay. But the 12-week scan that you're offered, I was 11 weeks and 4 days pregnant, and it had been 12 years since I'd had a baby scan. So these were new scans. Wow, could you see a baby? Could you see this face, nose? I was like, she has my nose. Waving, jumping around. And even the sonographer was like, wow, you really have a live one in there, So it was super exciting to have that scan. She did measure a bit small at that scan. We didn't know she was a girl at that stage yet, but she did measure a bit small, but they had no concerns. Now in Waterford they offer a 20-week scan then as well, which is, I can never say this word right, an anomaly scan. Is that right? Not all hospitals offer that, but they do in Waterford. So we went for that scan and I was 22 weeks and 5 days. I didn't know it was called that anomaly scan. I just assumed it was another scan. I didn't know babies got sick and died. It wasn't something I was aware of. And my main thing going down for the scan was how quick could I go shopping to see was I buying blue or pink. That was my only concern about this scan. Ignorance is bliss, and that kind of arrogance that you would never be affected by a sick child or anything like that, that arrogance is great as well in pregnancy. So we started our scan and she was spending ages. And again, I'm so amazed at how clear these pictures are. This baby is waving at me. And I didn't realise how much time she was spending on me because I was just looking at this baby that was waving. And then you see the kick that you feel. And there's no feeling like that. I can't even describe that to you, you get the kick and you're like, I felt that. And they're like, yeah, you did. It's so exciting. It's so wonderful. So the midwife asked me to turn on my side and she scanned me on my side. Now, I thought she'd done it because I was overweight. I was like, oh, there's a little bit of fat there, and she can't see what she needs to see. So I was like, oh, I'm sorry, But she was very sweet. Even when she was asking me to move around and taking longer at the scan, again, I wasn't worried. But she said to me, Vicky, and she put her hand on my face and she said, Vicky, there seems to be a problem with your baby's feet. She said that they seem to be talipes. Didn't know what that meant. So that's club feet. So when she explained that, I said, yeah, you can fix that. Doctors can do anything, So she, I remember thinking, oh, she'll have to wear ugly shoes. That was my concern. I don't want to wear an ugly shoes. But, I didn't think anything of it. And she carried on scanning and she said, there's something wrong with the cord to the baby. Now, bearing in mind, I was nearly 23 weeks pregnant. So I thought, well, I'm halfway there, more than halfway there. Babies can live from 24 weeks, so that can't be a problem. What are you even telling me? I thought she was being picky. I was getting a bit vexed with her, you know. I was like, what, you know, go pick on somebody else's baby. But she said, she said, there might be something genetic. She said, I think you need to go to Dublin to get checked. So I think that's when it hit in, when she said the word genetic. Again, I would have had no idea of what word to even think to put that in a sentence with. I was like, well, what could that be? But there was nothing that would come into my head. I just looked at her and I said, oh, what are we having? Because that was my main aim that day. And she said, you're having a girl. And right there and then I said, that's Leodin. So she was very kind. She wrote Leodin on my scan picture, and you know, she spent some more time with us. She said, do you want to see a doctor? And I said, no, they're not going to tell me anything that, you know, you haven't told me. So we went to Dublin within a couple of days. And we had another scan in Dublin. Waterford is a great hospital, but Dublin is so posh. And you have this culture coming here, and Holles Street had just been, they sent us to Holles Street, and it had just been done up this new scan room. So you have your doctor's screen here for the scan, and then you have this big flat screen on the wall to see your baby. So I'm like, so they're scanning, the midwife is scanning, and this lovely eccentric doctor comes rushing in, and he's like, right, give me a look, love, give me a look, what's going on? And the midwife said, you know, we've measurements and stuff here, and she was almost trying to calm him down. He explained to me that he was rushing over to the Coombe to do a C-section, and, you know, he said, I'm sorry now, he said, just. So he just said, do you mind if I scan you again? I said, no. So again, I still didn't understand what could possibly be wrong with that. I still had that arrogance and ignorance that she'd be fine. So he just looked at me after a few minutes scanning her. Now bear in mind, I'm looking at this baby up on the screen. She's kicking, she's twisting, she's annoyed at being scanned because they're really pressing hard with the scanner. She's moving away from the scanner probe. She's kicking me on the other side, you know, so I'm getting it from both angles. And he said to me, I'm sorry, love, she's not compatible with life. I remember being gobsmacked. It took my breath away. This baby up on the screen, I'm looking at her nose that looks just like mine. She's kicking me, she's putting her hands into her mouth, and you're telling me she's not compatible with life. Doesn't work. So I didn't speak. That's how I get when I'm stressed. I get, believe it or not, I get very quiet and I just kind of stare at people. And he said to me, how old are you? And I said, too old for having babies, I think, am I? And I said, what can we do? And I thought, how could we fix it? This was my question to him. You know, we've all seen these wonderful videos on the internet of in utero surgery on babies. I'm like, you know, doctors can do anything. And he said, your only option is to pop to England. Now I knew straight away what that meant. And I look up at this screen, and my daughter Leodin is there, kicking me, very unhappy that she's being prodded and poked. And I think he knew by my face, because that just wasn't going to work. Pop to England and what, kill her? Kill her now? I hadn't even been explained to at that stage what trisomy 18 was. Nobody had sat down with me and said, this is the situation. He used one sentence, she's incompatible with life. And then the next thing was to pop to England. It wasn't going to work for us. And like I said, he knew by my face. He didn't mention it again. Ending her life would never have been an option for us. As soon as I found out she was sick, the fierceness of protectiveness that came over me was unbelievable. I would have done anything to keep her alive. I remember thinking when I first got pregnant, right, you know, I have to save money for this, and she'll need a pram and she'll need that. I would have given everything I had to keep her alive, and we would have slept in a shed together, and I would have minded her. I remember pleading with God. I was like, I'll give you anything to let me keep her. We went back to Waterford for care. We could have stayed with Dublin, but the vibes weren't good. So we went back to Waterford. They were so kind, and this is what Tracy mentions about perinatal hospice. It begins here. It begins from the moment your child is diagnosed. Oh, sorry, I'm after skipping a bit. We had an amniocentesis because I still didn't believe that she was sick as they were saying. And again, we had to go back to Dublin for this and the big fancy screen. And they injected a needle into Liadin's space, into my womb. And she moved away from that needle. And the doctor that had told me 2 days prior that she was incompatible with life said, "Oh, look, clever little thing, she's moving away." She knew that needle was coming into that space, and I kid you not when I say she moved to go away from that. She could sense it coming. That often haunts me, because I think that's how they would have ended her life in England if that's the road we had chose. They would have put a needle in to inject her into her heart to stop it beating. So we went to Waterford, back to Waterford, and they were so kind. They said, "You can come twice a week, every day if you want, for a scan to check on her and see how she's doing." And I had lots of questions. And when you hit any of these trisomy conditions into Google, you get the most horrific pictures. And I mean pictures now that stay with you. And you don't see like the pictures we show. You don't see these babies wrapped in blankets. You see these babies laid out on like a blue hospital sheet or something, you know, that they've probably been aborted, or, you know, they just look so unloved, and you know, and it was scary. So I stopped all of that. And I had lots of questions, and Dr. John Birmingham was my consultant in Arkeen. I think he's pro-life. He'd never admit it to me, but he just starts laughing when I say it to him. But I said to him, "Is she in pain? Is she in discomfort? What can she feel? What's going on with her?" And he said, "She's in no pain. She's fine and happy where she is, and all she can feel is you loving her." And that was my consultant, and he's been a consultant in Waterford for over 25 years. A 2013 study published in the Medical Journal of Genetics found that 61% of parents diagnosed with trisomy 13 and 18 felt under pressure to have an abortion. Some doctors even refusing to treat them if they were not going to have an abortion. That's the reality. I'd be quite a strong person, and the doctor knew not to mention England to me again. I've spoken to women that would be a lot not as strong, and at every appointment with the doctor they've been recommended to go to England, that it would be the easier option. My consultant in Waterford said to me, "Vicky, are you still working?" I said, "I am, because I don't know what to do with myself." He said, "Come out of work." Now this is a consultant. I didn't know where to turn for advice. I hadn't found Every Life Counts yet. Nobody gave me leaflets. I didn't know where to go. I banned myself from the internet. And it's scary. It's a scary place to be. But my consultant said to me, "Come out of work. This is your time with her now. This is your time to spend with her. Have your memories with her. These are her first steps now. Enjoy her. Spend time with her." So I did. Me and my partner, we came out of work, and we spent the summer with her and just talking to her and taking her places and taking selfies and just loving her being there at that time. Her sister used to put One Direction, she would put speakers onto my bump and play One Direction. I hated it. I used to be like this. And she'd be like, "Ma'am," she loves it, because, you know, she'd see her moving and jumping around, but I'm sure she didn't like it. You know, and her brother would pour me a big old pint glass of milk every morning to keep us both healthy. He had learned this in school. He used to drink it, and I had to drink every drop. They loved her. They loved having her there. And they knew she was sick. We told them. And we told them we didn't know how long we were going to get to keep her. Well-meaning people told us that we were doing wrong doing this. As Tracy said, nobody ever means to come at you in a bad way, but people don't know how to deal with grief. I would have not known how to deal with grief. You say the most ridiculous things. So people were like, you're getting too attached, you know. The kids are getting too attached, you should really back off. That was one of the things I was told, that I should back off. We used to say to him, we're not getting attached. That's my daughter. That's their sister. That's their granddaughter. We love her unconditionally. And so do her brother and sister. And we're all fatal. We're all going to die. That's a certainty. And do you not love someone knowing that they're not going to live? The Aiden's movement slowed down. Again, I checked in with the doctor constantly to know, was she comfortable and was she doing okay? And there's actually no evidence anywhere, and this is important to remember, there's no evidence anywhere that these babies suffer in the womb. But she was doing well, she was growing. We could see on her scans she was growing. They would take measurements, they would tell me how much she would weigh, because it was very important to me that she had clothes when she was born. So it was very important to me. They knew I'd want to know how much she weighed, and each week we'd check her weight and I would buy clothes according to her size. One day she got very quiet, exceptionally quiet. She hadn't moved very much all day, and I still knew she was there and I could still feel slight movements. So my friend called and I said, she's really quiet today. I'm a bit concerned. And she said, I've got cake. She said, this will get her moving. And it did. She loves sweet things. And when I said this to my consultant, when I said, it does work, and he's like, yeah, she can taste that. She can taste that in her amniotic fluid. So he said, if she does slow down, you can have sweet things. Because being an older geriatric mum, I was going to be very good and not have sweet things, but the consultants gave me the go-ahead to keep her happy, and she did. So again, that's people... Sometimes I say that and people give me that look, that raised eyebrow, crazy, bereaved mother look. But it's true, and the consultant was like, yeah, she can taste that. So yes, I had the Marks and Spencer's blackberry sundae and a cup of tea, and within 20 minutes I could feel the kick this way and the shoulder that way, and I remember squeezing her into me and being so happy that I could feel that, and just hugging her. We used to always hug her and saying, there you are, that's my girl, you hang in there. That was the last time Leighton kicked. I got a very bad pain after that, and I just knew she was gone. We went to hospital to deliver Leighton. And she came quite quick. She was born within 4 hours. And she was born on the 17th of August at 7:07. And she weighed 2 pounds. She was perfect and she was beautiful. She looked just like her sister. You never knew anything would be wrong with her to look at her. And as the midwife handed her to me, I said, is she alive? She looked so perfect. And she was pink and all this dark hair, and my other children were bald as eggs when they were born, so I was like, where did all this hair come from? And she had dark eyelashes, long eyelashes, and cheeky long legs, we called her. She had long legs and perfect little hands. And she had a little birthmark on her butt cheek. I had her little outfit, but the midwives were so kind. Again, this is perinatal hospice. They let me bath her. They let me dress her and hold her and, brush her hair down and just take her all in. Now, if you had said to me 12 months previous to this that I would be nurturing a dead baby, I would have said you were insane. If somebody had told me that a woman was doing this, I would have been very uncomfortable. But it was so important as part, it came naturally. I loved her so much. And to do that was so natural. It was so natural to keep her with me and to hold her. We came home quite quickly from the hospital. We came home the next day. And again, it's so surreal trying to explain it, but everybody was so eager to see her and to be with her. And the hospital were very kind. There's these cuddle cots, and they keep the baby nice and cool. And they're very small and gentle, about the size of a laptop, and they fit in the end of the Moses basket. And they keep the baby cool, so you can take them home with you, which is so important. The house was packed. Everybody came to see her and love her, and I felt pride at that. Here she was, and I was telling people, oh, look at her hair, did you see her hair? And I'd lift her hat up, and the house was full, and people were bringing cakes, and, you know, anything we needed. I had enough tea bags, I think I still have them. You know, it was just, everybody was there, and I loved that at the time. That's the support you get and what you need. If she had been aborted, we wouldn't have had that. We wouldn't have had any of that. We wouldn't have been able to discuss her. We wouldn't have been talking about her. It would have been... I recently watched a clip of a woman that aborted her baby. She didn't mention, for a life-limiting condition, she didn't mention the sex of the baby, the name of the baby. She just said, you know, I had to end that pregnancy. I'm not going to lie and tell you that this was all fairy tales and beautiful. Again, if you had told me a year before that I would grieve like this over a baby I hadn't met, I would have said you were mad. You know, I'd heard of friends losing babies, and I'm like, well, you didn't really meet them. How can you miss what you didn't have? I was crippled with grief. I don't think I got off the couch for 5 weeks. I had counselling, and I had so much support. I never ever felt pain like it. I've never experienced grief. And when they say your heart breaks, it does break. It is a physical pain in there that you can't breathe and you can't eat. Something I haven't said publicly was 2 nights after Leodin was buried, I jumped out of bed. I thought I'd fallen asleep on her, and I was looking for her in the blankets. And I was pulling, I was like, oh, I've fallen asleep on her, where is she, where is she? And those instincts, those hormones that are in your body to love and protect that child. Now, like I said, at the time, you don't think of anything else, only the pain you're in. I look back now. That grief is so intense. If I had ended her life, if I had gone to England and ended her life, that grief would have been insane. I would have been making the choice to kill my own child. That's where the 8th Amendment protects mothers like me and protects babies like Leodin. It was a tough place to be, and some days during that pregnancy, it's so scary that I fear that if I was on ward 6 seeing my doctor, and he said to me, I can take you down to ward 5 and we can end all this, would I have been talked into that? Grief is natural. I think Leodin was an absolute gift from God. I remember when I was in labour, I was shocking pain, and I was talking to my uncle, and I said, I don't get my prize. How's this fair? Why am I suffering this pain? And what do I get? And he said to me, Vicky, you can't see it now, but he said, you will see it. She will be such a gift to you. The beauty I saw in people after Leodin was born, the love I received and the care. My own parish priest, he was pretty new, Father Ned Hassett, and I wouldn't have been a regular churchgoer. But as soon as this happened to me, I needed my priest. I needed him. I don't know why I needed him. I needed him to let me know that she was a person, that she mattered. And while I was in labour, I got him on the phone. I had to go through awful angles to get his phone number, but I got his number. And I rang him and I was like, Father Ned, you have to bury her properly. She has to be a real person. I know she's stillborn, but like she has to have a funeral, and I want a full funeral. I want it now along, and I want songs on her. And he was like, yeah, Vicky, we'll have whatever you want. It's fine, it's fine. He said, do you want me to come to the hospital? And so this crazy woman that's in labour, I mean, men stay away from labour as it is. You know, so he's on the phone and he's taking this call, and he's just telling me it's okay. And he did. He came to the house the very next day. And my grandmother had died just shortly before that, and she had given me this holy water for Leodin, that she didn't know Leodin was sick. And she said, keep that for the baby. And it was from Lourdes. And I said, I have my own holy water, will you bless her, will you bless her? You know, and I was literally like this. And he was like, yeah, it's fine. And he blessed her, and he said who would have been her godparents. And I can't tell you here today how much that care meant to me, how he made her a person. I know I done it, but to see an outsider do it, for him to value her, it was massive. Leodin is a huge part of our family still. Her handprints and her footprints hang on the wall with pictures of our other children. We celebrate her birthday every year. Our family always remember, we always talk about her. She's so very much loved and missed every day. She lived and died with care and dignity. And that's why I'm here today, because of that. How can our politicians say that these babies don't matter? Everybody in this room now, and thousands of others. I spoke at the Rally for Life in Dublin. There was 80,000 people there. These people now know Leodin's story. How can anybody say that baby didn't matter, that she didn't count for anything? I worry if the 8th Amendment is repealed. People don't know what this entails. They're actually telling lies, we're not surprised to say. They're saying safe, legal and rare. It will not be rare. Simon Harris said, we protect the babies with disabilities. They won't be aborted. They will. The UK has shown us 7 babies last year, 7 beautiful babies with cystic fibrosis were aborted. A cystic fibrosis baby now can live up to their 40s. Each year it's progressing and it's changing. Babies with cleft palate are being aborted. It's been classed as a disability and they're aborting up to 9 months. Leodin was 32 weeks when she was born, and she was perfect. She was about that long, and I could feel the weight of her. And I don't get it, what they do with this. Leo Varadkar said about 2.5 years ago that these babies were already dead. And recently, while out canvassing, a woman said that, oh, well, my friend was forced to carry her dead baby for 14 weeks. And you hear all this stuff when you're out canvassing. And that comment, when I spoke to her more in depth, that comment came from her friend's baby had a life-limiting condition. But she referred to that baby as a dead baby because she heard her leader of her country say it. We need to fight against that. We need to say, no, that's not right. The media don't want to hear about that. We've almost been censored at this stage. And anybody with a platform needs to say that. These babies are important, they're loved, they teach us how to love. If we take away anybody that needs a bit of care, what have we left? As Tracy mentioned, Cork University Hospital have a study, or conducted a study, over a 12-year period from 2001 to 2012. And its results are amazing. So out of all the babies diagnosed with trisomy 13 and 18, only 4 to 6% is all of those babies were aborted. That's a tiny amount. Now, in comparison to the rotunda, where over 50% are aborted. And this is what I'm saying about the dynamic of care. It's perinatal hospice. Cork offer bereavement counselling before and after the baby is born. They offer a great perinatal hospice. They support parents. So this shows us now, before the 8th Amendment is repealed, that good care is what these parents want. Irish parents don't abort in these cases when good care is provided. And Fergal Malone said that himself. They were his figures that he gave us. Perinatal hospice won't cost money. It's simply a standard of care. It's sheets of paper. Tracy could print them off and give them to all the hospitals. They are getting ready now and they are changing bereavement standards, but they're tying it in with abortion already. We need to protect the 8th. This is the biggest fight of our lives. This is the biggest fight I'll ever have. Because once this is taken away, and all you lovely men know that once it's taken out of the Constitution, we no longer have a say. It's gone. It's out of the Constitution. The right to life is gone. So the next government could be like Canada and say, do you know what? Abort all you like. Abort up to 9 months and restricted, because that's the regime Canada has. And we won't get a say in that. And all these people that are on the fence, that are not sure, that are basing their vote on babies like Liam, where they feel sorry for mothers like me because I can't abort. I don't need that sympathy. I need you to protect these babies with me. They need to know that once this is taken out of the Constitution, we no longer have a say. We will never get that back into the Constitution. This is the fight of our lives, and we need to work really, really hard to protect it. Anybody that has a platform. Every life counts. Life Institute, Youth Defence. We are all there to help you. I know, I don't know, I can only imagine how hard it is as men like yourselves to try and answer these questions. Bishop Culnan in Waterford said to me that he mentioned the 8th Amendment at a Mass at Christmas. A young bloke, he said, no older than 23, came up and gave out to him. Now, I'm shocked that you'd even give out to the bishop. Who does that? But this guy came up and he said, you don't say that in Mass at Christmas. You know, and I was like, Christmas is about a baby being born. So I thought it was a good time. But that's what he was up against. He recently done a radio interview, and the Irish Times made bits of the interview. They took what they wanted out of that interview and then they twisted it and they made him out to be this anti-woman, you know, just, and I've had meeting upon meeting with him, and he's amazing. And he's so pro-life, but it's scary, and I know it's scary. And you have women coming out, angry women. Don't you tell me what to do with my body, you know? And it's not your body. You choose who you marry. You choose your religion. You choose your hair colour. You choose whatever you like. But you don't get to choose if somebody else lives or die. You don't do that. We have laws. I think these women that want this, would you not be better off going out and marching against not having to wear a seatbelt? I hate wearing a seatbelt. It rubs my neck all the time. I think my body is the wrong shape for the car. But, you know, we have laws to protect us. And every night I go to bed and I have a little chat with himself, and I'm like, am I really fighting to protect babies? Really, it's almost surreal that we have a title that we're pro-life. Why isn't everybody pro-life? So I know it's hard. I know it's really hard. A lot of people that will come at you with hard cases, which they have done with me. I do a lot of canvassing and talking, and they'll come at you with rape. They'll come at you with rape, and they'll come at you with incest. And I had a woman say it to me. I don't know what books she'd been reading, but she said, so if your daughter, and she's pointing at me, if your daughter is 12 years old and she's raped by a family member, so you have an incestuous raped pregnancy, would you let her have an abortion? Would you? I'm like, okay, so you've just thought of the worst thing imaginable in the world. You've put it on my child, and you're asking me now. So I said to her, can I ask you a question before I answer that? So she begrudgingly said yes. And I said, do you just want abortion for rape and incest and underage pregnancies? Or do you want abortion for everybody? Free for all, free, safe, legal, isn't that what you call it? Yes, she said, a woman should have her own choice. Well, I said, then you're not fighting for women with rape and incest. 2%, just 2% of abortions in the UK last year were for rape. 2%. We need to remember that. They'll come at you with hard cases, and when they do, shoot them down. It's not what they're talking about. 98% of abortions are simply choices, lifestyle choices. So we need to remember that when they come at you with hard cases, and they will. And life-limiting conditions are hard cases as well. But you've heard here today that that's not how it works. We have proof, we have studies of how it affects women. And I know if I had aborted her, I don't think I'd be around to tell the tale, because I just don't think my brain could have coped with that. I couldn't have carried that. You don't get to take somebody's life and it not affect you. We all know, and they're trying to tell us it's not true in the media, that 90% of Down syndrome babies are aborted in the UK. That is shocking. Iceland, last year in Iceland, only 3 babies in Iceland last year were born with Down syndrome. They think they've cured Down syndrome. They've eradicated them. That will have a massive impact on our future of this country. This is not what we want for Ireland. We can offer better, and we have offered better. The 8th Amendment is doing its job. Ireland is one of the safest countries in the world, not in the EU, in the world. We're in the top 6 safest country, and we have the lowest maternal death rate in the world. The 8th Amendment saves mothers and babies. Don't let anybody tell you any different. We have the facts and the evidence of that. It is the safest. So we don't need abortion. Abortion is not healthcare. Savita, that's another hard case. People will come at you as well. Savita did not die because she did not receive an abortion. Savita died because she had sepsis. Savita's husband sued Galway Hospital. He didn't sue he would have sued the government if it had been the 8th Amendment's fault. He didn't. He sued the hospital for 13 points of missed chances to save her life. Last year in the UK, 7 women died of sepsis, and they have abortion. Now at the minute, the government are looking for 12 weeks unrestricted. That would mean we would have a more liberal regime than the UK, where 1 in 5 pregnancies end in abortion. In the UK, you have to say that you're going a bit crazy or it's on mental health grounds, and they just sign them off. You know, they have these pre-printed leaflets where 2 doctors have to sign you off for an abortion. What they're looking for here in Ireland, our beautiful, safe country. We get put in The Simpsons because we're such a good country. You know, that we're different. And you have all these young, I have a 19-year-old in college, you know, and some of the feedback she comes with that, oh, we're behind the times. We're ahead of the times. We have taken a stand and we have said, no, we won't have abortion. That doesn't make us behind. There's killings every day in countries. So it doesn't mean we should make them legal here because they happen. You'll get told 3,500 women last year travelled for an abortion. They did. So does that mean we should allow it over here so another 30,000 will have abortions? We don't want more abortion. I know it's hard. Sorry, I went a bit of a rant. I know it's hard. But as I said, we are here to help you if you need anything. If you need us to come and talk for you, if you need to ring us, if you need to any kind of feedback. It's a lonely place sometimes being pro-life. But I love that you're all here and the interest you're taking in this, because it's scary and we want to, you know, shy away from it. We don't want to be offending people. You don't want an angry woman coming at you, telling them what to do with their body. So that wraps me up. So thank you so much for your time. Have you any questions?